Hey there, it's Mitzi. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to do a tag video. I don't do a lot of tag videos, but it's not that I don't want to. I just have trouble deciding which books to choose for these tag videos. But I was tagged for the telephone book cover tag, and I was tagged by Taylor at Tales and Treats with Tay. And if you haven't followed her channel, make sure you visit that. I'll put a link to her YouTube channel in the description box below. But this was originally created by Reading Riley, and this is a creative, easy tag to do. And so I'm going to go ahead and say I'm tagging you if you have not participated in the telephone book cover tag. I'm also going to tag a few people, and I'm going to do that now so that I don't forget. I'm going to tag some of my favorite UK booktubers, and that is Alice from Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, Emily from Novell Novels, and Gemma from Gem of Books. So if you have not done this one, I'm not sure if you have, I tag you, and let's see what we can come up with for this telephone book cover tag. Now what this tag is about is just the book covers. If you've ever played telephone or gossip as a kid, where you whisper a phrase and then the next person whispers it, at the end it's usually something different. It's not the same by the end because someone has misunderstood something along the way or just made something up. And so that is the premise behind this game, this telephone book cover tag. So I have to go by the last person that tagged me, which is Taylor. And Taylor's last book on her telephone book cover tag was a book called The Mailbox by Mary Beth Whalen. And so I have to use that cover to pull books from my shelf, either books I've read or books I haven't read, and try to come up with 10 books that are connected some way. The covers are connected some way. So the mailbox has, I notice it has, I have a picture here. I notice it is a mailbox. There's a girl standing off. It looks like she's at the ocean with a hat on. Her hair's blowing. And inside the mailbox, you can see a notebook and a pen. So I decided, because it was a mailbox, I would choose the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society by Marianne Schaffer and Annie Barrows, because it has a letter on the front, and we put letters in our mailbox. So I thought this one would go with The Mailbox by Mary Beth Whalen. And then, because this is a letter on the front, I went with Dear Mr. Knightley by Catherine Ray, because if you look at this cover, there are a lot of letters on the front of this cover. And then from this one, because it's called Dear Mr. Knightley, you may guess what's next. I went with Dear Mrs. Bird by A.J. Pierce, because that is how we start our letters, is with Dear whoever we're speaking to. And that was 3 words, Dear Mr. Well, 2 words, Dear Mr. Knightley, and this is Dear Mrs. Bird, 2 words. And then from here, I went with Dear Mr. Henshaw. You can see the relation there. Someone writing a letter to someone. Also, I noticed that the colors were the same in these books. If you look, this one is a golden color, and she has on sort of an orangey sweater. And in this one, we have Dear Mr. Henshaw by Beverly Cleary, has a yellow background, and the words are in that same orange color. I thought that was interesting. And then from Dear Mr. Henshaw, I went with another book that pertains to writing letters. And no, this doesn't pertain to writing letters. This one I went with because he is using a pencil to write a letter. And I went with the colors again, the color scheme. And that is Meet Me in the Margins by Melissa Ferguson. If you look at this one, they have the same color scheme again, that golden color with the red. And there's also, he's writing with a pencil, and on here, if you look at the very bottom, there is a pencil at the bottom of this book. So Meet Me in the Margins was next. I don't know what number I'm up to. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is number 5. And then from here, the man is holding a book Now I stretched this a little bit. These were super easy to begin with because you can definitely see the relationship between all the books I've done so far. But on this one I decided I would go with The Man Holding a Book. And I went with What Jane Austen Ate and Charles Dickens Knew by Daniel Poole, because if you look at Charles Dickens' picture, he has a book in his hand. So he's holding a book, a man holding a book. So that was my next one. From here, if you look at this picture, you see that both Jane Austen's picture and Charles Dickens, it looks like it's sort of framed in one of those antique looking oval frames. So I went with that for my next book, which is The Lady's Mind by Francine Rivers. Because if you look in the middle, there is that antique frame in the middle of this book. By the way, I haven't read this one. I actually pre-ordered this, which I never do because I love Francine Rivers, but I haven't read it. So let me know what you think of this one in the comments. I haven't read a couple of these, by the way, but this was one that I've pre-ordered and still haven't read. But anyway, I went with the antique frame in the middle for this one. Then as I was looking at this one, it really became difficult because I don't have any books that look like this on my shelf. And so I thought about the gold because I think this is about the gold rush, and there is like flecks of gold all over the background of this cover. And so I went with Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, because if you look here, there's a train, and the smoke they have on the cover is in gold. This is one beautiful copy, by the way. But if you look at it, there is gold in the background of this one too. So I went from there to Murder on the Orient Express. And then from here, because there is a train at the bottom of the cover of this book, I went with Wind Calls the Heart, because she is standing on a platform stepping from a train. If you look right here, you see a car from a train right here. And so after, for Wind Calls the Heart, I have one more book. I think I'm on number 9 here. I think this is number 10. And if you look at this book, you have the girl stepping off of the train onto the platform. She's dressed in this beautiful old-fashioned dress. And so for the last one, I tried to pick something that you would have a chance to go with if you are tagged in this video. I went with These Happy Golden Years by Laura Ingalls Wilder, because the lady on the front of this cover is wearing a beautiful old-fashioned dress. She's also holding a hat. And I noticed that in this one, the lady is wearing the old-fashioned dress and she's wearing a hat. And in this one, she's wearing a beautiful old-fashioned dress and she's carrying a hat. So for the last book in this challenge, I challenge you with These Happy Golden Years by Laura Ingalls Wilder. See if you can connect some of your books from your bookshelf with this book cover. And as I said earlier, I tagged Novelle Novels, Gem of Books, and Alice in the Giant Bookshelf in case you haven't participated in the telephone book cover tag yet. So those are the books that I came up with. This was a fun one because I went through my shelf and actually found some books on my shelf that I pulled to put on my cart that I haven't read and I had forgotten about. So thank you to Taylor for tagging me. This was a lot of fun. I do hope to do some more tag videos. I've been tagged on a couple. So if you have tagged me, please be patient. I'm trying to get to those. But anyway, this was a fun one. Look on your shelf. If you're not a booktuber, look on your shelf and see if you can connect something with These Happy Golden Years. And let me know in the comments if you came up with a book cover that is somehow related to this one. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.